evening and welcome to the regular City Council meeting for the City of St. Peter, Minnesota. It is Monday, February 24th, 2025. At 7 p.m. we are called to order. Would all please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everybody should have received a copy of the meeting packet, which includes the agenda. Are there any revisions or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve as distributed?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The agenda is approved. Next up, approval of the minutes. The minutes are printed on pages 4 through 6 of the packet. Are there any revisions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes as distributed?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. We have time on our agenda for visitors. Is there a visitor who'd like to address the council on any agenda item? We also have time for general visitor comments if there's a visitor who'd like to address the council on any matter whatsoever. Hearing none, we will move on to the approval of the consent agenda. The consent agenda begins with the memo on page 7 and concludes with a resolution on page 21 of the packet. The consent agenda includes the following board and commission appointments: Veronica Lund to the HRA for a term ending December 31st, 2029, and Julie Gassman to the Public Library Board for a term ending December 31st, 2024. As well as the schedule of disbursements, 2027? Yep, thank you. The schedule of disbursements for February 6th, 2025 through February 19th, 2025 are also approved. Are there any questions or discussion of any consent agenda item? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Weisenfeld.
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
Mayor Noel.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
The resolution is approved. We have no items of unfinished business tonight. Our first item of new business is the 2025 Municipal State Aid Advance Request. Oh, and Jeff is here to talk to us about that.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm here to talk about the advance resolution, or 2025 advance, MSA advance request. As a reminder, in January of each year, cities of population 5,000 or more receive MSA funding, or municipal state aid funding. MSA is short, I guess. That's for the reconstruction, construction, maintenance of roadways on the city system. MSA roads include those that are considered collectors or carry more traffic. So we have a number of those around the community, and I think councils knows most of those where most are located. So when each year in January, when MSA funds are distributed, the state provides a notice to the city that they've received X amount of dollars of MSA funding. Those funds are banked, held by state aid finance until we have a need for those, then we request reimbursement of those funds. As part of that initial allotment that they provide in January of that year, they also set aside the bond payment for any bond payments that we have for the following year, so 2026 as an example. So I guess one good thing I'd like to share is that we do have an MSA bond that was taken, oh gosh, it's been almost 10 plus years ago, and we've got the current payment set aside for our 2026 or 2026 bond payment, but after that there's only 2 more bond payments, so that's quite exciting, and we never thought that day would get here, but it's close, so that's wonderful news. We've got all but our 2026 bond payment is $360,000. We have all but the $47,805 of that set aside already. So if we expect to have more MSA expenditures this year than what we have in our account, then we can request an advance of MSA funds to cover those expenses. What the advance does is it just provides you up to 5 additional years of your allotment ahead of time. So you're basically getting your MSA funds ahead of time, and then reimbursed. The state's reimbursed by the city's annual allotment every January. So it's kind of it's a nice thing for cities, especially those that are short on MSA, or even the counties, CASAS, county state aid highways. They can use it for the same purpose. It's on a first come, first served basis. The council did take action in, I think it was March or April of last year, to request an advance for 2024 expenses. Those expenses, I think we requested about $1.4 million for the Old Minnesota St. Julian Roundabout, the Safe Routes to School project, our 361st Avenue, which is Magner Parkway, and then also the 2023 Trunk Highway 169, 22, and 99 project on the very south end of town, the turn lane improvements that were completed there. The 361st project was the only one that we were able to use the MSA advance on. The roundabout and the 169 project, we didn't receive final numbers until it ended up being about a month later than we had hoped, and so we weren't able to request or use 2024 advance dollars for those projects. But now they are ready, and we can use those additional funds to reimburse ourselves for those MSA expenses. So right now, the resolution, I think it's on page 23. We list our current MSA account balance. It's zero as of February 17th, and we're requesting to be reimbursed the dollars that you're seeing there, $340,914 for the Old Minnesota Avenue leg of the St. Julian Old Minnesota Avenue roundabout, and they required that we separate the legs into two different project numbers. So even though it's one of the same project, there's two different funding project numbers. So $340,000 for the Old Minnesota Avenue leg, and then about $217,000 for the St. Julian leg. Safe Routes to School project, that never started last year, but the contractor had the opportunity to begin, but they chose not to, so they'll do that work this year, and then that's why we expect that those expenses will be real here in 2025. And then we did get the final numbers for the 99, 169, 22 project on the south end of town. That's at 292, 381 that we'll request reimbursement for. And then the bond principal, the short pay of $47,805, that's something that when they took the money for our 2026 advance, or our 2026 payment, they were short that amount, so we're requesting an advance to cover that. The bond principal in 2026, I'm asking that we strike that from the resolution, because that was something that back and forth with MnDOT, we got mixed up on that, and that's not necessary, because if we have the opportunity, we don't need to request that, because we already are requesting that. So the following year, in 2026, we'll have to do another MSA request for bond expenses, that sort of thing, if we don't have enough in our MSA account, which I'm not expecting we will. So I'd recommend you strike that from the resolution, so the total estimated disbursements would be $1,201,352, and that's the total advance amount requested. And the last paragraph of that resolution on the bottom of page 23 does have the correct number in there for that. So with that, I would recommend the city council consider and approve the resolution with the $360,000 bond principal for 2026 removed, and request an advance of $1,201,352 for calendar year 2025.
Any questions? Todd, anything to add?
No, ma'am.
All right, then we're recommended to approve the resolution with the bond principal for 2026 being stricken from the resolution. Is there a motion to approve the resolution with that revision?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember DeVos,
Aye.
Mayor Noel,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
Councilmember Weisenfeld.
Aye.
The resolution is approved. Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
Jeff.
much.
Thank you.
Our next and last item of new business tonight is the adoption of a resolution establishing the guest services position for the Recreation and Leisure Services Department, and John is here to talk to us about that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. As we have discussed at previous council workshops, we do have a new position that is in the 2025 budget that our department is seeking. Have included some statistics here of kind of where our department is and what the need is for that. Currently, we're operating the community center as well as the recreation office with 4.25 FTEs, and 3.5 of those help take care of the recreation department alone, which has over 1,400 programs and events annually, with over 30,000 people participating in these programs and events each year. We would like to get that number a little better. We're working on that, but given the events and the nature of our free participation, that is the estimate that staff have worked up. We also have our campsite reservations, our pool rentals, our pool programs, the park shelters, and as well as working with many different partners for the athletic field reservations. The job description before you is updated from the council workshop on the 18th, based on the feedback that council did give, and with basically the changes there were the addition of a couple bullet points to the minimum qualifications per the feedback from council to really emphasize the strong communication, the ability to work with the public, as well as a couple different, a couple amendments to some of the, or one of the minimum qualification bullet points, as well as one for the desired qualifications. But that was reflected to make a better emphasis on the customer service side of this. And with that, staff would like to, is seeking approval for the job description and the resolution to approve this job description, so we may move forward with the hiring process.
Thank you, and everybody did receive a copy of the revised position description, so we all have that. Are there any questions for John? Or Carrie?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify for the public too that this is a budgeted position. We discussed this last year at budget time. And so it's just getting to that point where we're determining the qualifications for this job and what we need it to look like. There was a lot of conversation last year during budget time. Anytime we add a new position, that's a really big deal. And so we did end up working with staff to pare that down from full-time to part-time. And it'll be, I think, I'm really curious to see how this helps support the operations. And I think we've all seen a need for additional oversight and support. We offer a lot of different programs, and there's a lot of people that use this building. And so having that additional support seems like it's very much needed. And I think having some follow-up from staff too would be helpful, just to see how it's going with the new addition. So, and then I appreciate the staff taking feedback on some of our suggestions, and then I really appreciate the additions to the required interpersonal skills too, because I think we're needing a lot in that area for this person to have like really strong interpersonal communication skills. So, thank you.
Thanks. Any other comments or questions? Anything to add, Todd?
No, ma'am.
All right. Hearing nothing further, the resolution establishing the position of guest services specialist for the Rec and Leisure Services Department is on page 29 of the packet. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Noel,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis,
Aye.
Councilmember Weisenfeld,
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
The resolution is approved. Thanks, John. Moving on to reports. I have no report tonight. Council members, I think we have a couple reports. The first one on legislative activities. And was it you, Carrie, that wanted to speak to that?
Yes.
Yes.
So I just wanted to report that Councilmember Sharstrom and I attended the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities Legislative Action Day. And so just what we ended up doing there is we attended a presentation by the coalition on what's been going on at the legislature, and of course, it's been a very interesting session and year, but just some of the bills to kind of watch out for. They did ask cities for any housing stories that they can share, what cities are doing with housing in their communities, just because there's some bills advancing that would potentially attempt to remove local control and public input and things like that. So I followed up and I sent a few bullet points of things that we've done in the last few years. And when you kind of put it all together, it's just really exciting. We are being very creative in St. Peter. And so it's exciting to share that and then have it potentially shared with those lawmakers too. So we also that day in the afternoon, we met with Representative Erica Schwartz and staff from Senator Nick Frentz's office. Those meetings, of course, are very short, so we focused on bonding and requesting a bonding bill specifically for Gorman Park improvements and our wastewater treatment plant improvements. And then we left our handout of our other legislative priorities with them. And I know Councilmember Sharstrom had followed up in an email to both of their offices just to say thank you for the time, for meeting with us. Here's what we're looking to do. And then in a few weeks, I know a few of you are going back to the Capitol for League of Minnesota Cities Legislative Action Day. And that's a really good opportunity to then follow up on those initial conversations. So it's always like really good time well spent to be up there and to just get front and center the issues that are important to everyone here in St. Peter. So, thank you.
Any other council member reports at this time? All right, seeing nothing further, we'll move on to reports from the city administrator.
Madam Mayor, and certainly council members can chime in on this one, but I just wanted to mention again the transformer ribbon cutting, and thank you for those who could attend for your time and your warm wishes on a very cold day to be out there. And just to mention again that this is infrastructure matters. This is important stuff, and it's expensive stuff. And the improvements that you make here impact our reliability on our electric system and in other utilities. So, I mean, I defer to any of the council members who might want to share. And we had a nice time and a few great pictures, and squirrels are happy, and the world's a better place.
Yeah, Brad.
I was gonna say, yeah, it was kind of lighthearted because we had some cardboard cutouts of squirrels. We made multiple jokes about squirrels. At one point I was thinking that Carson Hughes from the Herald might be wondering it was all about the squirrels. But it really is, as Ted said, this is a big deal. It's a big investment. Thing to note is it came in hundreds of thousands under budget. I think we had budgeted about $2 million, and I believe it came in about $1.6 million. So it was significant savings coming in under budget. And just from a reliability perspective, yes, squirrels aren't going to die, but the more important part is we're not going to lose power in our community. I think the statistic Jason Lee, our superintendent, said was 82% of our power outages over the last several years have been attributed to squirrels getting into the old substation, the old transformer. So this is, as much as we made jokes about it, it is a really big deal from a reliability perspective.
These are important projects that, as many council members know, we've been working on this particular project for over 5 years and bringing it to fruition. And so, good stuff for sure.
Daryl.
I'd like to thank everybody for doing this. I think it's really important that we highlight things that most of the public never get to see. This is part of what we do as a city. The transformer itself, I believe, was 65 years old.
Something like that, yeah.
It's been around a while. It's served its purpose. Some of these things do need replaced. It's expensive, and hopefully this one will serve us just as long as the one we just replaced. But it's hard to highlight these things that are kind of out of sight, out of mind, and sometimes you have to make some lighthearted things to do it, and I'd like to thank everybody for doing that. I was unable to attend.
It was a fun event, and so I think it was your idea.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So
I
you
was
get
in
the
Florida
credit
at the
for
time.
it.
Only slightly warmer.
Only slightly warmer.
All right. Anything else,
Madam Mayor,
Ted?
that's all I have for you
All
for tonight.
right. Well, if there's nothing further, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Nobody is opposed. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.